Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Grumpy Dogs Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Schaefer. Today, we're diving into a question I get asked almost every day. Why is my dog aggressive to other dogs when my dog is on leash, but not when they're off leash, like at dog parks? It's a common issue that can be really frustrating for dog owners. If your dog is lunging and barking at other dogs while on leash, but seems to enjoy their company off leash, you're not alone. It's a common issue. In today's episode, I'll break this down for you. Are you struggling with a dog that is anxious or aggressive? You're at the right place because in this podcast series, we educate dog owners, veterinary practices, and dog trainers on how to overcome dog fear and aggression using humane methods. My name is Scott Schaefer, and it's my mission to help you better understand your dog's behavior. Before we get started, I want to mention that you can watch the video version of this episode on YouTube. I provided a link in the episode notes that will take you directly to the video at the Grumpy Dogs channel. You can also search for Grumpy Dogs channel on YouTube. Okay, let's get started. The issue of dogs being aggressively reactive to other dogs when they're on leash is called leash reactivity. That's the most common name. It also goes by leash frustration and leash aggression. To get to the bottom of leash reactivity, we need to look at three main components: the root cause, the physical environment the dog is in and its situation, and the dog and owner's response to this. Let's start with the root cause, which is always the most important when we're talking about behavior issues with dogs. As surprising as that may be, the most common root cause that causes dogs to bark and lunge at other dogs while on leash is fear. That's right, fear. This is a fairly common behavioral issue and is found in all, and I do mean all breeds. Every breed has individual dog members that are fearful of other dogs. With my private clients, I really do see every dog breed represented there. While this fear is found in all breeds, as I mentioned, there do seem to be some breeds that are overrepresented in leash reactivity. I see a lot of private clients with German Shepherds that have this issue, Pit Bulls that have this issue. I'm not picking on Pit Bulls. I love Pit Bulls. Chihuahuas. Is there anyone that's surprised by that? No. We always make fun of Chihuahuas for that kind of behavior, but they're kind of overrepresented. Border Collies, Australian Shepherds, the herding breeds, French Bulldogs, and Boxers. Most of these breeds were originally bred to be highly sensitive to their environments, which kind of helps this behavior grow. However, I still do see leash reactivity, but to a lesser extent, also in dogs that you wouldn't expect it: golden retrievers, Labrador retrievers, and just collies, the common collies called a rough collie. So I see it there as well. So the point I'm trying to make here is it's across all breeds. It's not unique to the breed. If dogs are fearful, why are these dogs acting aggressively like this? It's because fearful dogs need a certain distance known as the threshold distance from other dogs to feel safe. You've probably heard me say this before. Distance is everything when it comes to fear in your dog. It's really that important. If you've listened to my earlier episodes, you'll know that I talk a lot about distance when it comes to things that dogs fear. And the reason they're doing this, acting aggressively, is to force the dogs away. They want to keep the dogs away from them. More on that in a second. Moving on to the physical environment the dog finds itself in, its situation. When a dog is on leash, what's the one thing they can't do? That's right. They can't run or move away from the things they fear or that scare them. They're tethered to their human, so there's no escape. So if a dog is afraid of another dog and wants to create more distance by being aggressive, getting the dog to move away, but can't physically move away itself, they're left with one option. get the other dog to move away. And how does a dog do that? As we mentioned, by barking and lunging. It's like the dog is saying, back off, buddy. This is what we think of as an offense is the best defense strategy. They've learned that if they bark, lunge, growl, or show their teeth, etc., to the scary thing, in this case, another dog, the other dog will likely move away. But let's think about this for a second. Or it at least looks like the other dog is moving away from them as it walks by with its owner. This is a survival tactic that kicks in when they're feeling threatened and can't escape. So even though the dog doesn't on its own move away, the owner walks by with the dog, and so your dog thinks, oh, look how effective this is. Let's put all these pieces together. When dogs are off leash, they have the freedom to move away from what scares them, in this case, other dogs. They're not tethered, so they can create their own safe distance. But when they're on leash, they don't have that option. They're stuck. And that's why they might use aggressive behaviors to create that distance, or at least think they are creating that distance as the other dog passes by with its owner. This is why most dog owners with dogs like this tell me all the time that their dog gets along very well with other dogs in a dog park. One of the big reasons for this is that their dog can move around freely in a dog park and is not forced to go toe-to-toe with another dog. They can create their own safe distance by zigging and zagging, an option that's not open to them when you're walking them down the street on leash. I want to point out something here. Dogs that are fearful of other dogs can be perfect in every other way. They are frequently the sweetest, best behaved dogs at home. Everybody loves them in the family. This contrast can make it even more challenging and frustrating for owners. The dog is great in every situation, even with the dogs that it lives with. I hear this all the time. I hear something like this all the time. He's a perfect dog, except for this one thing. It's so frustrating and embarrassing. Yes, of course it's embarrassing when you're walking your dog down the street and he's lunging, growling, barking at another dog walking by. So does all this sound familiar? Just know this. These dogs aren't bad. They are most likely just scared. I really want to tell you this so that you can reframe what's going on here in your mind and better understand where your dog's coming from. Let's explore a few factors before we wind up today that can influence this behavior. One important aspect is the owner's response to the dog's aggression. I spend a lot of time on this with my private clients. It's that important. Dogs are incredibly perceptive and can pick up on their owner's anxiety and tension. If you're tense and anxious during a walk, especially when you see another dog coming towards you because you know it's about ready to happen, your dog might mirror those feelings and become even more reactive. This is something I spend a lot of time on, as I mentioned, with my private clients who have dogs like this. It's really that important. It's also worth noting that the type of leash and collar you use can impact your dog's behavior as well during these incidents. For instance, retractable leashes can give dogs inconsistent distance and boundaries, which might, believe it or not, increase their anxiety. So for dogs like this, especially walking on public roads where you're going to encounter other dogs, absolutely do not use a retractable leash. A standard leash gives your dog a clear understanding of their range and helps maintain control. And I'm talking about just your standard off-the-shelf leash that's 4 to 6 feet in length, no retractable. Also, when we talk about collars, prong, choke, and shock collars can and will absolutely make this behavior worse for a host of reasons that I cover in numerous other episodes in this podcast series. Another key point is training and socialization. Dogs that haven't been properly socialized or haven't been trained to walk confidently on a leash with a confident and relaxed owner may be more prone to reactivity when they see other dogs. As a side note here, socialization isn't just about exposure to other dogs. It's about positive experiences with other dogs done slowly and properly. Proper training and socialization can help your dog understand that walking calmly on a leash is rewarding and that they don't need to fear other dogs. So let's recap. 1, fear is normally the root cause of this behavior. 2, the physical environment for your dog of being on leash limits your dog's options when they are fearful and feel threatened. 3, their response is an aggressive attempt to create distance. Offense is the best defense. Finally, owner behavior, leash types, training, socialization are all factors that can influence this issue. Understanding these elements is the first step toward helping your dog feel more comfortable and safer while on the leash looking at other dogs. If you have a dog that's barking and lunging on leash when they see other dogs, my best advice is to seek help from a qualified and certified canine behavior specialist. This issue is really common. I like to say it's about 40% of my private practice, but can be complicated sometimes. It's not always real simple. And it almost always gets worse without intervention for a number of reasons. I don't want you to be frustrated by this behavior. If your dog has this, to someone who knows what they're doing, this is a very well-known and understood behavior. There's nothing mysterious about it. We know why they're doing it, and it can be addressed and in most cases improved. All right, that's it for today's episode. Hope you found this information helpful, as always. If you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover, please reach out. Go to grumpydogspodcast.com where you can leave me a message and you'll find my social media links there also. Don't forget to subscribe to Grumpy Dogs Podcast for more tips and advice on understanding your furry friend. And if you find this information helpful, please subscribe and give us a review. Thanks, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with other dog lovers. Stay tuned for our next episode where we'll continue our dive into the world of dog behavior.